Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another day in America. Unfortunately, I hate to tell you, there has been another school shooting, which at this point, starting to feel like it's just the regular every other day occurrence, this time in Georgia at a high school. And shockingly enough, the perpetrator of this shooting was only 14 years old. Everything is still very much so developing, so I will try to update you as I can to the best of my abilities as the story develops as well. So, the Georgia school shooting live updates. 2 students and 2 teachers have been killed in this horrible and tragic event. And yes, like I said, a 14-year-old is now in custody. Investigators could not immediately determine whether the 14-year-old shooting suspect targeted the victims or if it was a random attack. A campus police officer quickly confronted a 14-year-old gunman who is a student at the school, but the campus police officer got him to surrender immediately. Our school resource officer engaged him, and the shooter quickly realized that if he did not give up, that it would end with an OIS, an officer-involved shooting. He gave up, got on the ground, and the deputy took him into custody. 52 minutes ago, more Georgia school students have spoken out about the terrifying ordeal, saying that they thought they were going to die. Take a listen right here.
We have been hearing for hours now from community members reacting to the shooting, trying to get in contact with loved ones at the school. Here's a bit of what some of them have had to say.
She was with one of her friends, and he was 2 doors down from where it happened. He said he heard some knocking on the door before it even went on to lockdown. He heard banging on a door, which they thought kind of was a locker, and then he heard somebody say, "Open the effing door, let us in." And then he heard boom, boom, boom. And he said when he went to leave, there was gunpowder, gun shells, and blood everywhere.
I heard gunshots, and then my teacher told us to get in the corner. And then they were clearing this. I heard like screaming and police officers like, "Get down, put your hands on your head."
My classmate went to open the door, but she turned around and said that he had a gun. And then as soon as she said that, he started firing.
I thought I was gonna die.
It was just like a loud boom, as if a locker had slammed. So my teacher thought it was just like some kid acting foolish. So then she took a peek outside, and then we heard repeatedly the banging again, and that's when we could identify it was a gun. And then the hard lockdown was placed, and then we ran to the back of the classroom, turned off the lights. I was shaking, scared, and I didn't have my phone on me, and I couldn't communicate with my mom for half an hour. And I didn't know what was going to happen, because you could hear the gunfires right down the hall, so I don't know if it was like the last chance I had to talk with her, but luckily I'm here.
My daughter.
Wow. Really, really scary shit. The 14-year-old suspect is expected to be charged as an adult, which I think everybody listening agrees with, and probably agrees that this is the right decision. Clearly, if you are mentally mature enough to take up a deadly weapon and murder people, you're clearly mature enough to be tried as an adult for committing such a heinous crime. Former President Donald Trump lashed out at the unidentified shooter, calling the attacker at a Georgia high school a deranged monster. Our hearts are with the victims and loved ones of those affected by the tragic event. These cherished children were taken from us far too soon by a sick and deranged monster. Like, okay, nice virtue signaling, Trump, but what are you going to do about it? So Trump is saying this is a deranged monster. Let's see what Kamala Harris has to say.
This is just a senseless tragedy on top of so many senseless tragedies. And it's just outrageous that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. We've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. You know, it doesn't have to be this way.
Wow. In 46 seconds, Kamala Harris already sounds significantly more like a president. Even something as simple, as vague, as shallow as "we've got to do something about this" demonstrates her awareness of the fact that something must be done. Trump sending out a memo being like, the man that did this was an absolute monster. I'm sure if he was left allowed on the streets, he would have tried to assassinate me next. Literally, like, that's not enough. At least Kamala Harris recognizes the epidemic on our hands. At least Kamala Harris has the balls to say something as simple as, we need to do something about it. At least she's recognizing that if she is elected, that she will have an ability to do something about this. To be clear, when Kamala Harris refers to this issue of gun violence as an epidemic, she is not wrong. In 2020 and 2021, firearms contributed to the deaths of more children ages 1 through 17 years in the US than any other type of injury or illness. The United States has by far the highest rate of child and teen firearm mortality among peer nations. In no other similarly large wealthy country are firearms in the top 4 causes of death for children and teens, let alone the number 1 cause. US states with the most gun laws have lower rates of child and teen firearm deaths than states with few gun laws. But even states with the lowest child and teen firearm deaths have rates much higher than what peer countries experience. Holy shit, look at that. Firearm is above motor vehicle. It's above drowning, poisoning, cancer, suffocation. Holy shit. I would have absolutely thought that like drowning and flat screen TV falling off the wall onto a child would be like up there in the leading causes of death. To be fair, I genuinely would not have expected it to be firearms for children. The US has by far the highest child and teen firearm mortality rate among similarly large and wealthy OECD nations. Oh my God, look at this. Look at the US compared to all these other nations that are comparable when it comes to wealth and whatnot. Because peer countries' mortality data are not available for children ages 1 to 17 years old alone, we group firearm mortality data for teens ages 18 to 19 years old with data for children ages 1 to 17 years old in all countries for a direct comparison. On a per capita basis, the firearm death rate among children and teens in the US is over 9.5 times the firearm death rate of Canadian children and teens ages 1 through 19. Canada is the country with the second highest child and teen firearm death rate among similarly large and wealthy nations. Here's another one. Firearms are the leading cause of death for American children and teens. Again, the same kind of statistics, deaths from 2022. Firearms were at 4,603 compared to motor vehicle traffic accidents, 3,740, poisoning, 2,088, etc. And it goes down from there. So gun violence was the highest in 2022. That is just despicable. White House calls for tougher gun laws. The White House press secretary condemned the deadly shooting in Georgia and joined the president in calling on Congress to take action and pass either an assault weapons ban or universal background checks. It's bizarre to me that we don't have anything like that, like something as simple as universal background checks. Biden also says that ending this gun violence epidemic is personal to me, again, referring to it as an epidemic. And you know what? I gotta be honest and fair. Ending the gun violence epidemic is personal to me also. As most of you know, several months ago, I was in a situation in which somebody showed up with a shotgun and attempted to murder me. This person was from out of state, and even more so, they were from a state where a waiting period was required when it came to purchasing a gun. They were out of state. They came to my state. They had a temporary ID that didn't even have a fucking photo on it, and they were still sold a gun here in my state And they were able to then show up outside of my fucking front door and attempt to murder me. And had it not been for Holly's bravery and fast police response and everything else that just worked out the way it did, I probably would be dead. He was given a fucking shotgun despite having a paper ID that was a temporary ID with no photo on it from out of state, and inflicted a whole bunch of terror and damage upon a lot of people who had to experience that ordeal. Even the police, when speaking with us after this tragic incident, even they said that the temporary ID, that may have been an oversight. So I'm sorry, but an oversight isn't fucking good enough. So when Biden says that this gun violence epidemic is personal to him, I think it's personal to me now as well. Even worse is that Republicans have decided to try and weigh in on this. Now, whenever Republicans try to speak on these kinds of issues, it's pretty much like a retarded pigeon on steroids trying desperately to communicate with regular, normal people. That's kind of what it reminds me of, you know? This guy tweeted earlier today, "The school shootings are back just in time for the election." And I responded to him on Twitter and said, "It's almost as if school started up again after the summer." Gee. This guy is so stupid. He literally thinks that school shootings are starting up again right around election time. No, dumb fuck. School starts up right around election time. So Marjorie Taylor Greene also really was offering quite a kind helping hand to this entire situation, in which she offered her sincerest thoughts and prayers. Because all the other thoughts and prayers have not worked. Maybe this time it'll be different. Because God is clearly ignoring our thoughts and prayers when it comes to gun violence. Maybe God just needs one more tweet to go viral, offering him our sincerest thoughts and prayers in order to finally fucking do something. Please join me in prayer for all the students, staff, and families at the high school in Georgia. There has been a school shooting and reports of multiple injuries are being reported. Well, there you guys have it. Another dumb fuck Republican who fetishizes guns all the fucking time. Now offering her thoughts and prayers when yet another school shooting takes place. This is fucking devastating. This is absolutely sickening, and it's really, really disappointing and upsetting to me that school shootings have pretty much become so normal in America that now when you see the news about it, it's pretty much like, oh, okay, again? Okay, old news, whatever. It's sickening to me. Clearly something needs to be done. And I'm going to tell you right now, I trust Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, I trust Democrats to do a hell of a lot more to curb gun violence than I would ever trust Trump or any fucking Republican for that matter. If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today.